There are moments in life when everything seems to be aligning, when you feel like you finally found the path, the chance, the breakthrough you've been waiting for. And then, just as your hand reaches for the doorknob, the door refuses to open. At first, it feels like failure. It feels like loss. It feels like the universe is playing some kind of cruel joke, shutting you out of the one thing you believed was meant for you. But what if that closed door wasn't the end? What if it was the universe's quiet way of redirecting you towards something far better? Something you can't see yet, but one day will thank life for. This is the story of Maya, a woman who learned that destiny isn't always found in the doors that open. Sometimes it's hidden in the ones that don't. Maya had always been drawn to design, not just the technical side, but the feeling of it. She loved how a single sketch could transform a space, how colors could change a mood, how creativity could make people feel seen. It wasn't just a career goal, it was her language, her way of understanding the world. For years, she dreamed of working at a prestigious design firm called Lumen Design Studio. To her, it wasn't just a job, it was the place, elegant, modern, full of brilliance and innovation. She followed their projects religiously, watched their growth, admired their vision. She believed that one day her work would belong there too. This dream kept her going, through long nights, through self-doubt, through the quiet moments when she wondered if she was fooling herself for wanting something so big. But she never let go of the belief that one day she would walk through those doors. And then, finally, it happened. A job opening, a chance, a door. The moment she saw it, her heart jumped. She knew this was it. She poured everything into her portfolio, revising it 10 times, then 10 times again. She practiced interview answers until she memorized the rhythm of her own voice. She spent hours choosing the perfect outfit, rehearsing how she would walk in, how she would smile, how she would speak. For the first time in a very long time, Maya allowed herself to believe fully, without hesitation, without fear, that her dream was close enough to touch. On the day of the interview, she arrived early, too early. She sat in the lobby with her hands clasped together, her heart beat loud in her ears, her mind flickering between excitement and terror. The receptionist greeted her warmly. The office looked exactly as she imagined. Polished concrete floors, soft lighting, quiet focus everywhere. She felt like she belonged. And when the interview began, she spoke with honesty, passion, vulnerability. She wasn't perfect, but she was real. She walked out feeling uncertain but hopeful, like she had at least given them the truest version of herself. For 3 days, she waited, and on the 4th day, the email arrived. It was short, polite, professional, and devastating. "Thank you for your interest, but we have decided to move forward with another candidate." One sentence, one closed door, one dream slipping away. Maya stared at the screen, trying to make the words soften, shift, change into something else. They didn't. No matter how many times she reread them, the meaning stayed the same. She wasn't chosen. A quiet ache settled in her chest, slow, heavy, and painfully familiar. She felt small, defeated, embarrassed. She had given everything, and it still wasn't enough. She cried that night, not dramatically, but quietly, the way people cry when they're too exhausted to fight their own disappointment. She curled into herself and wondered what she had done wrong. Why the universe would show her a dream, only to pull it away. In the days that followed, she tried to convince herself she didn't care, that it wasn't a big deal, that she didn't really want it that badly. But she did, and pretending otherwise only deepened the emptiness. For a while, she stopped designing altogether. Looking at her own work felt painful. Thinking about the future felt pointless. Hope felt dangerous. But life has a strange way of nudging you forward, even when you stopped moving on your own. A colleague at her current job, someone she barely talked to, approached her one afternoon and said, "Your design posts online are incredible. My cousin is starting a small business and needs a logo. Would you be interested?" It wasn't a paid project. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't the dream she had been chasing, but it was something. So Maya said yes, not out of excitement, but out of a need to feel useful again, to feel connected to the part of herself she had abandoned after the rejection. She worked on the project slowly, lovingly, with no pressure and no grand expectations. And for the first time in a long time, she felt the spark return, the quiet joy of creating something beautiful just because she wanted to. When she delivered the design, the cousin was thrilled. They recommended her to someone else, who recommended her to another person. Soon, without realizing it, Maya was juggling multiple freelance requests. Small ones at first, then bigger ones, then projects she couldn't believe people trusted her with. She wasn't chasing anymore. She was simply doing what she loved, and people were noticing. Her online portfolio grew, word spread quietly. Her confidence rebuilt itself not in leaps, but in gentle, steady steps. Months later, on a regular Tuesday, she opened her inbox and froze. There it was. An email from Lumen Design Studio. Her heart raced. She clicked it open. They had seen her recent work online. They were impressed. They wanted to collaborate with her on an upcoming project, not as a junior designer, but as a primary creative partner. The same company that once closed its door to her was now knocking on her door. Maya leaned back in her chair, overwhelmed. She could barely process the shift. The rejection that had once broken her had quietly rerouted her toward the very opportunity she thought she lost. But now she was stronger, more refined, more confident, more herself. If she had been accepted months earlier, she realized she wouldn't have been ready. She wouldn't have grown. She wouldn't have found her voice. She wouldn't have carved out her own path. The door hadn't opened back then, because she wasn't meant to walk through it yet. What she saw as rejection was actually protection. What she felt as loss was actually redirection. What she believed was the end was actually a beginning. She took a long, deep breath, and then she replied to the email, not with desperation, not with fear, but with grounded confidence. I would love to discuss this collaboration. Let me know when we can talk. She wasn't entering through their door anymore. They were inviting her through hers. And in that moment, she understood something she wished she had known earlier. Not every door is supposed to open when you knock. Not every dream is meant to begin the moment you ask for it. Sometimes life delays you, because the version of you who's knocking is not yet the version who will thrive inside. If a door stays closed, it doesn't mean your story ends. It might mean the universe is protecting your next chapter, the one you can't see yet, but you are slowly growing into. One day, you'll look back and whisper the same realization Maya did. I'm grateful that door didn't open. It led me to exactly where I was meant to be. Because destiny isn't always about the path you chase. Sometimes it's about the path that quietly waits for you to become ready. And when the time is right, the right door won't just open, it will welcome you in.